Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi and you're watching Top Stories at 1, your one-stop shop for all the latest developments right here on News 9 Live. We've got a plethora of stories to cover. Of course, no relief for Chandrababu Naidu, TDP leader and former Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister, sitting in that jail cell that he himself inaugurated. Moreover, taking a look at some international developments from Libya, Morocco, shifting our focus to Kim Jong-un's meet with Vladimir Putin. That is something that is underway. Some powerful visuals coming on that front. The state health minister for Kerala, Veena George, has come out and reacted on the Nipah outbreak, the Nipah cases that have now come to light. Apart from that, Abhishek Banerjee, he's been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. He was already there. Several other stories, so do tune in, stay tuned, get down in the comment sections about what you like, what you did not like, stories that we could take, nuanced perspectives, discussions, debates and deliberations, whatever the story needs, well, we'll try and give it to you. Meanwhile, our first and foremost focus is going across to Rajasthan, where 11 people, and we're learning about sketchy details over there, in the sense who's the death toll in this particular fatal accident. 11 people from Gujarat were killed and at least 15 were injured when a trailer rammed their bus in Rajasthan's Bharatpur district. The bus was on its way from Gujarat to Mathura in Uttar Pradesh when the accident occurred at around 4:30 a.m. in the wee hours of the morning. We're also learning that the death toll could very well now be 12, but since that figure is not confirmed yet, we're going to stick to the 11 figure. 11 people have been killed, even as 15 people got severely injured in that Rajasthan road accident, where a trailer bus crashed into, the trailer crashed into the bus that was carrying all these people on the Agra-Jaipur highway. 11 from Gujarat itself have been killed in the accident.
अंतरा के पास सुबह 4 बजे के आसपास ये सूचना मिली कि एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, जिसमें एक स्लीपर बस ट्रेलर ने पीछे से मारा है, जिसमें अभी 11 डेड बॉडी यहाँ है, डेड बॉडी की 12 लोग यहाँ एडमिटेड हैं। उनकी आउट ऑफ डेंजर अभी स्थिति मेरी बात हुई और लगातार उनको बताया जा रहा है।
Well, moving on, shifting our focus to the valley of Jammu and Kashmir, where another encounter, and a long one, is still underway. This out of Rajouri, a second terrorist has been killed, neutralized in an encounter with security forces in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri district. The suspected Pakistani terrorist was killed in an encounter in Narla village. Meanwhile, another terrorist was killed in Wednesday's encounter in the village 75 kilometers from Rajouri town. What you're looking at are, of course, deferred visuals, but the latest information that we're tracking at this point in time is that of 2 terrorists that have been killed in Rajouri's encounter. This is the 3rd day of the gun battle in Rajouri, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not forget a gruesome gun battle between the security forces and the terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri. Of course, the Indian Army obliging various media channels with the visuals from Rajouri. Of course, safe to say that the camera person has made it to this far-flung area in Rajouri, which means the fighting essentially is not taking place here, must have taken place in essentially presenting deferred visuals to all the viewers out there. But this is exactly the terrain, the topography, where for 3 days the gun battle has been on. We'll try and bring you the latest details as and when we get them, but the latest bit of information that we're tracking is that of the second terrorist being neutralized in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri. Well, now, even as we were, talking about this 3rd day of gunfire in Rajouri, yesterday, an army personnel and Kent, which is a 6-year-old female Labrador, and you're looking at the visuals of a very brave dog on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. This 6-year-old female Labrador of the Army's dog unit died whilst 3 security personnel were injured in the gunfight. Why is this so? Because this right here, this little furry friend of ours, a brave furry friend, was leading the operation, and in a bid to save its handler, the dog laid down its life for its handler. This is what we're picking up. The dog essentially protected the handler. Now Labrador Kent served with the Army Dog Unit. 6-year-old female Labrador of the Army's Dog Unit. Salute to the brave heart who's laid down their life for the Indian Army. A voiceless creature, but a brave one nonetheless. Well, now shifting our focus to domestic politics, of course, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, where the Andhra Pradesh High Court has stayed trial proceedings against former Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu. So essentially no relief for the former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. This is in connection with an alleged skill development program scam case. The court has stayed the proceedings against the Telugu Desam Party chief till next Monday, which is the September 18th. Essentially, till the 18th of September, it's Chandrababu Naidu in judicial remand. Now, Naidu had moved the High Court just a day ago on the 12th of September, seeking the cancellation of this judicial remand in the case, along with its quashing. Meanwhile, a renowned legal media agency, Live Law, has reported these particular informations, these confirmations. There's a bandh that has been called on Naidu's arrest by a TDP leader and Andhra Pradesh's president for the Telugu Desam Party. A special court at Vijayawada had sent Chandrababu Naidu to 14 days of judicial custody. The same legal media agency has noted in its report that significantly Naidu's plea contends that this trial court order was passed without taking into account the fact that the CID, which had knocked on Naidu's door early on the morning of his arrest, failed to obtain prior approval from the governor in accordance with the Section 17A of the Prevention of Corruption Act. Naidu was, let's not forget, arrested by the state's Criminal Investigation Department, the CID, early on September 9th, shortly after having been listed as accused number 1 in the alleged skill development scam. He has been charged with criminal conspiracy, cheating, forgery, breach of trust, destruction of evidence, and abetment in that particular case as well. So no relief for Chandrababu Naidu. What does this mean for the legal strategy that TDP is using? What does this mean for the kind of legal remedies TDP and Chandrababu Naidu have at their disposal? And more importantly, what does this mean for the politics of Andhra Pradesh in this YSRCP versus TDP, Jagan versus Naidu battle? How have both the parties and both the leaders of these parties postured themselves, one sitting on the Chief Minister's seat, the other currently in Rajamundry jail? Well, meanwhile, TDP leaders have called for a bandh on Naidu's arrest. Moreover, more than that, the Congress party and the Badals have come out in support of Chandrababu Naidu. If ripples are being felt across the nation. Chandrababu Naidu, former Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister, Telugu Desam Party's leader and chief, he was arrested by the CID in the alleged skill development scam, and September 18th is the next date when the trial court proceedings are going to be heard next, because the Andhra Pradesh High Court has stayed those trial court proceedings for the next foreseeable future till the 18th of this month. Meanwhile, these are shots of various protests that were carried out by the TDP and various supporters of Chandrababu Naidu all across Andhra Pradesh, especially in places like Vijayawada and Visakhapatnam, that you can see on your television screens. From Chittoor in Andhra Pradesh to Visakhapatnam to Vijayawada, well, let me tell you, protests can be heard absolutely loud and clear. What kind of pressure will this surmount and put on Jagan Mohan Reddy's dispensation is a totally different question. Meanwhile, the police have had to resort to use of a little bit of force here and there, even as the protests begin to turn a little bit unruly. Important to note here that Chandrababu Naidu himself, the former Chief Minister, had moved the Andhra Pradesh High Court seeking a quashing of this entire arrest, saying that this is what is being done is to intimidate him, and is not in good law. And also at the same time, they say that there was no warrant. Approval wasn't given by the governor under Section 17A of the Prevention of Corruption Act. That is something that the TDP says. Visuals from Chittoor in Andhra Pradesh, where arson and vandalism is being committed. And the way with which you can see the black tar that's been spread on the road, you know, that's not the first rubber that has been burned. This is not the first bus's rear windshield that is being vandalized and broken. Damage to public property is another one of those factors over there. Take a look at that. One man slightly deflating the tire of the bus over there. People in good and huge numbers from Chittoor to Visakhapatnam to Vijayawada to various places in Andhra Pradesh, protests against the arrest and judicial remand of Chandrababu Naidu have ensued and erupted at various places. The police have a huge task cut out for themselves, even as some places a little bit of force has also been used by the police, which the TDP leaders have categorically claimed as brute force. Altercations between the supporters and the police also quite frequent ever since Chandrababu Naidu's arrest. I'm saying it again, will it put the right kind of pressure on Jagan Mohan Reddy? That is the bigger question. And what it means for the TDP, which will have to re-strategize, go back to the whiteboard and chalk out a fresh strategy, because until the 18th of September, trial court proceedings have been stayed by the Andhra Pradesh High Court. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, shifting our focus from Andhra Pradesh to Kerala. And why we're talking about Kerala is because Nipah cases have again been recorded and registered in Kerala. What's more is that 2 people have been died, and the cause of death has been ascertained to be that of Nipah virus. Now, earlier we did a full-blown show on Nipah virus, speaking to several doctors as to what the situation currently is on the ground. But before we do that, let's listen in to the Health Minister of the state, Veena George, about how surveillance has been heightened, about how there are several teams that have been made, and there are teams from the central expert team that has been rushed into the state of Kerala. The entire district Kozhikode has been put on alert, even as the doctors community say that people don't need to fear. People need not fear, can continue to step out. It's only that people should understand what jump zones are. There should be proper awareness about how Nipah happens, what happens in Nipah. And Veena George has come out and categorically said that the state government is doing all that it can, and that Kerala has a robust health system. That's the silver lining here. Apart from that, Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia has also taken cognizance of the fact that Nipah cases have again been recorded in Kerala. What's going to happen in the coming days is again something that we'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, the people are certainly a little bit scared and worried as to how Nipah virus actually spreads. It's usually a fruit-eating bat-borne disease, bats essentially being the main reservoir for incubating and harboring this particular disease. Masks are again going to be out, ladies and gentlemen, and before you know it, God forbid, good sense prevails and our authorities and the government and our health sector, especially in the state of Kerala, which has its own peculiar history of being vulnerable to Nipah virus, battle and tackle the virus to the best of their ability. At the moment, only 2 deaths and 2 cases so far. But again, another important thing to note is that one of those victims Contact tracing is being done, and on their phone they made contact with about 150 medical people, which is again dangerous because these are medical people who must be attending to other patients as well. Well, moving on, India is set to receive its first C-295 transport aircraft from Spain under a rupees 21,000 crore deal with Airbus Defence and Space. The initial 16 aircraft will come in flyaway condition from Sevilla's final assembly line. Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, instrumental in securing the contract, will accept the first plane in Sevilla. It will then be transported to the Hindon Air Force Station for a formal induction ceremony later this month. The second aircraft, with a 9-ton cargo capacity, is expected to undergo test flights in the next 2 to 3 months and will be delivered to the Indian Air Force in May. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Air Force is all set to receive its first ever C-295 transport aircraft. This coming across from Spain. Visuals of that particular aircraft on your screens. It's a 21,000 crore rupee deal with Airbus Defence and Space. The initial 16 aircraft, it's a deal of 16 aircraft, will come in flyaway condition, which essentially means ready to go, from Sevilla's final assembly line. And our Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, who has been right at the forefront of securing this particular contract and deal, will accept the first plane in Sevilla itself. It will then be transported to Hindon Air Force Station for a formal induction ceremony, which is going to take place later this month. Again, giving a new set of wings, another squadron of wings to the Indian Air Force. This time around, it's a C-295 transport aircraft from Spain. C-295's visuals on your television screens. The magnanimity and the beauty of this majestic beast. The Indian Air Force certainly better with the addition of this new fleet of 16 C-295 aircrafts. Well, now we spoke about Andhra Pradesh, we spoke about Kerala, we spoke about the Indian Air Force getting its new planes, but another South Indian state that we must focus on, because Karnataka and Tamil Nadu have been dealing with this row over CWRC's various orders and statements. The Kaveri water management and the Kaveri water row is something that people can't essentially stop talking about. The Kaveri water row, Karnataka Chief Minister has called for this special emergency meeting, and Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is going to chair this cabinet meet on the Kaveri water sharing issue. Tamil Nadu and Karnataka both have their own kind of demands. Some want it for drinking water, others want to feed their basins because farming activities are being done. Both states trying to make sure that their own farmers are secure. But the larger question is, who decides who gets what? That's the bigger question. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is chairing this cabinet meet to discuss the next course of action. We've got some reactions. Listen in.
98 TMC of water should have been left. We have left only 37 TMC of water because there is no water. See, more than 130 years in this last August and September, such a worst situation had not arisen. That is a very serious drought we have been facing the last 2 months. Even in the Malnad and the other part of the state. We never expected that more than 100 years, especially in this month, that we have gone to the records. And last year, it was almost 4 times what we had. But this year, we could not. I will place the fact before the committee. We have already instructed our legal team to just wait for our decision. We will discuss and we'll take it.
Well, so the Karnataka government certainly serious over there. Meanwhile, H.D. Kumaraswamy has opted out of the discussion. Listen in.
Decision taken by Central Water Management Board. Here we are facing the water scarcity. Our state government announced the farming community not to cultivate the crop this year. We are facing a lot of problems. Even future days, Bangalore city drinking water will going to be big issue. Why this water management board? Each time when they assemble, they are pressuring of Tamil Nadu. Why they are giving direction to the Karnataka government to release the water? I request this government, I demand you please reject the Central Water Management Board decision, what they have yesterday given direction. You reject it.
Well, now before we move on to some international news, a quick update coming from West Bengal, Kolkata, where TMC Member of Parliament and National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee has arrived at the Enforcement Directorate's office for questioning. This in connection with the teachers' recruitment scam case, ladies and gentlemen. So that news on TMC leader Abhishek Banerjee, that ED news, that grip, you call it whatever, it's still there. I'm not going to say if it's tightened or if it's loosened, but it's still there in the periphery. Abhishek Banerjee is still having to deal with Enforcement Directorate. Of course, the INDA bloc is going to come out and say that this is opposition leaders being targeted via central agencies. On the other hand, we know what the BJP stand is, no room for corruption. Little update, we'll tell you what happened inside that particular questioning once we have information on that. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un are already discussing a potential arms deal. That summit is already underway. Take a look at that. One of the powerful handshakes in the world today. Now, Kim's journey to Russia was closely monitored as a ballistic missile launch occurred just before the meeting in North Korea as well. That's what North Korea was up to right before Kim Jong-un had departed for the meeting. Just hours before the meeting was going to take place, there was a ballistic test that was carried out in North Korea. On the other hand, people are saying that Vladimir Putin wants some artillery for his war in Ukraine. On the other hand, Kim Jong-un requires food supplies and some modern military technology as well. On the other hand, the United States has come out and said, well, we're warning you, do not trade weapons. Well, the talks are officially about humanitarian aid in exchange for weapons. The US suggests they involved weapons deal, and that is what they have warned against. Moscow insists the discussions will cover bilateral relations and regional issues, not heeding warnings from Washington, ladies and gentlemen. But those visuals that you can see, he took his special bulletproof train. He went to Khansa where that meeting was held, and finally at summit with Vladimir Putin. And you're looking at those visuals right now, even as Kim Jong-un arrives and shakes hand with the Russian president. Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin, that summit is underway. Details to follow shortly after. Across the visuals of all the train in which Kim Jong-un was traveling, because there's something real special about this train that Kim Jong-un is traveling in as well. The green train, it is bulletproof, travels at a particular speed, and most people would like to travel in their chartered flights and jets, but Kim Jong-un travels in the train, that green colored bulletproof train. And we earlier saw visuals of how Kim Jong-un stepped out of that train, and there were a lot of army that was waiting for him. There was a guard of honor that was given exactly that. Take a look at that, ladies and gents. This is that train that the North Korean leader travels in. No helicopters, no choppers, no aircrafts, no top of the line luxury cruises and yachts. He uses a train, and right outside that train, Russians gave him a guard of honor, after which in Khansa those meetings were held, and he later on went and met with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and that powerful handshake that we saw. Well, this just in, I'm being told that tragedy has struck in Rajasthan's educational hub, Kota, again, as a 16-year-old student preparing for the NEET, the medical exam, died by suicide. This marks the 25th suicide in just 8 months in this coaching hotspot. What's happening in Kota is a bigger question that people need to answer, that the government needs to answer, that the authorities need to answer. And of course, if there is a conglomerate of all these coaching hubs and coaching institutions, well, they need to come out and answer as well. 25th suicide, death by suicide in just 8 months in this coaching hotspot, जहाँ पे दुनिया भर के बच्चे, भारत के बच्चे पढ़ने आ रहे हैं competitive exams के लिए. Now the student, originally from Ranchi, trying to maybe change the life of their parents, life of their loved ones, trying to make it big, coming from small places, that rags to riches story that everybody is so wondered by. Originally from Ranchi, the student, and residing at Blaze Hostel in Kota, tragically killed themselves, and her body now rests in the mortuary at this given point in time. No other information that we're tracking at the moment. I personally did not want to read out information as to how the act was carried out, but 25th death by suicide is a big alarm bell that should be raising all across. That's all the time we have for you in this quick segment of the top stories that we were covering at 1 p.m. This will happen again over the other hours as well, but lots more coming right on the other side. Don't go anywhere. This is Kabir Nakwi signing off. Keep watching News 9 Live.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
Hello and welcome to this News 9 special. What is happening in Libya is becoming a big tragedy, especially after Storm Daniel hit that region. We are talking about the kind of flooding that has happened in that area because of the freakish weather. 2 dams have burst, the rivers have in fact burst their seams, and entire towns have been dragged to the sea. Even rescue workers on the ground are telling us that it is very difficult to determine whether they are able to do the rescue work because there is a lot of silt, damaged buildings, debris, and at the same time they are worried whether they will be able to get survivors from this area. Egypt and Turkey has been pushing in a lot of teams for the rescue efforts that are being carried out in Libya. Also, mind you, Tripoli, the administration from where the Libyan administration in fact operates from, that particular region, it is yet to grapple with the kind of tragedy that we are looking at. Libya is yet to become politically stable. There are significant groups who are there who are trying to vie for influence and also are armed to a significant extent. These towns and cities that were close to the coastal areas are the ones that have in fact faced the brunt. These visuals show you how the river was in spate, especially in the urban centers, and how it dragged in through these areas, causing this kind of a tragedy. Rescue teams, as I said, in Libya are in fact struggling to retrieve bodies from these regions. Some of the people, bystanders, have been saying that this was a tsunami-like situation that they faced. Libya is not known for the kind of flooding that it witnessed recently. There have been reports of flash floods that used to happen from the desert regions, and the infrastructures of these cities and coastal towns was enough to carry the water towards the sea. But there have been a cumulative failure of 2 dams that resulted in this huge tragedy. As I was saying, some of the eyewitnesses said that this was a tsunami-like event that hit them. One of the epicenters of the disaster is the town of Darna. Now in Darna, it is being said that 25% of the neighborhood has been completely washed away, and a significant part of it has been eroded into the sea. This is the tragedy that is unfolding. It's not only in Darna, nearby cities as well. Even Benghazi has in fact reported cases of complete disaster. Another visual that in fact points out to what we are significantly saying. This is the aftermath of the situation of flooding in that region. You can see how the cars have been turned, the roads have been completely destroyed. The sea has also eroded significantly into the place. We have seen the city infrastructure completely destroyed. These are drain pipes and water pipes that were associated with the neighborhoods there. Many of them said that the foundation stones of the houses, the apartments and of the roads were completely eroded out. And those visuals in fact show the kind of tragedy that we are in fact seeing. These are visuals of the flooded streets in the area, and we can see how the volunteers from the Red Crescent, who were the first responders on the ground, they were the ones who were in fact struggling to keep some of the areas afloat. This is how the storm Daniel in fact has significantly affected the region. As you can see, these are the big issues that the Libyan state is in fact facing. Some of the roads towards these coastal towns and cities have been hit. What we understand is when it comes to Darna, the town which is in fact facing the biggest problematic result of this particular storm, the tragedy that is unfolding, it is very difficult to even get an aid, as at least 11 roads leading to the city have been destroyed. So the only option for ensuring that some kind of aid reaches the place is to have helicopters hovering around the town and dropping in food packets to medicinal packets. And you can see these pictures coming in from that city. You can see how much of silt has been put forward as well. There, as I was saying, the first responders have been the Red Crescent volunteers, and they are the ones who have been carrying out with rescue with the limited resources that they have. And silt formation and destruction of buildings in that area has been one of the significant aspects of it. Meanwhile, it is being said that 10,000 people have gone missing in this city. 10,000 is the number that has been put with regards to the number of people who have gone missing in that region. It is also being said that at least 2,300 people have been killed in this particular tragedy. It is also being said that according to the history of the area, many of them have never seen this kind of rain in their living memory. So a lot of people have been taken aback at the unfolding nature of tragedy. Here again, as I was saying, rescue workers dragging in bodies from areas where people have been completely swept away. Most of them were in the city, but because the river went ahead and swept away, this is the situation that they faced. Let us in fact listen to one reaction coming in from that area. It is significant enough to actually understand how badly Libya needs that kind of help that is coming in, especially the aid that needs to come in. Let's listen into one reaction that's come in.
300 volunteers from various regions of Libya who are affiliated with the Ministry of Youth have arrived in the city of Benghazi. We have also received assistance from Tunisia, Algeria, Italy, France, UAE, Turkey and Qatar. Trained rescue teams have arrived from Turkey, while other teams continue to arrive from Egypt, Algeria, Italy and other friendly countries.
So the authorities over there, in fact, struggling when it comes to this particular aspect of it. Let's in fact take a look at some of those visuals that have come in tragedy out over there. Let's see the satellite images, how the satellite images in fact show the nature of this tragedy. There you can see the satellite image that shows the significant destruction that's happened on the coastal towns of that area. I was speaking about Darna and how the river that goes past through that particular center has, this is in fact the after image of what has happened just before that. This is the before image of that particular township, as you can see. And as the river is in spate and after yesterday's rains and destruction, we can see what it looks like right now. From a township that was thriving, it has been completely destroyed. That brown aspect of the brown aspects that you see on the satellite image is actually the silt and the river pushing through the city center, and this is what the area looks like right now. So you can see how much of damage it has caused to this coastal town. This is because of the significant rains that happened because of the storm Daniel. Rains were also reported in Turkey, Bulgaria, as well as Greece when this incident happened. So you can see the satellite imagery that we in fact show you right now, just before what has happened and right now what is happening at that particular location. This satellite imagery shows you the kind of tragedy that we are in fact seeing when it comes to the aspect of this particular town as said. As I was saying, Darna, which is the worst affected city of all the cities in the coastal towns, because 2 dams had collapsed as this tragedy in fact unfolded. It is being said that the city was completely submerged in silt. Darna is a coastal town. It has its own significance. It has historical mosques as well as a significant history with Libya as such, and that is said to be the epicenter of what has happened on the ground. Well, this all happened when the storm Daniel hit the region on Sunday, and Red Crescent volunteers are saying that the death toll could go further as they in fact scour the region for rescue as such. And it is being said that with the country has been split between 2 rival governments, things are not working on the ground because of this aspect as well. It is being said that since there is a significant issue about political stability within the region, this is what is being said, that the politics is also becoming a hindrance in trying to help the people of the region. This is the aid that has been sent from several countries, including Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, as well as the United States. All of them flown in from these countries for the rescue operations that is being carried out in that region. Medical supplies, food are some of the items that are being flown in. It is also being said that blankets and makeshift tents are also being sent across by these countries, donor countries, to that region. So it has become quite significant as of now when we look at the kind of rescue efforts that is being carried out in that region. And the floods in Libya has resulted in a kind of a humanitarian tragedy that is unfolding in the region. Just a few days back, we did see how the Moroccan earthquake had also created trouble, and now Libya facing the storm and significant losses that the area has in fact seen. Well, after the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, there has not been any sort of stable government, and these are in fact some of those visuals. You can see the utter destruction, and you can see the silt that has lined up over there. The only option for the people is to remove the dead bodies from the region. They are covering them in blankets, and also reports are coming in that mass graves had to be dug out in these areas of the town, where it is being said that there was no other option but to go for these mass graves, as most of the bodies have become unrecognizable after the flood tragedy, and therefore IDs cannot be established, and earth movers were used to in fact dig up mass graves and bury the people who are there. Also, now reports are coming in because of the instability that was there in the region. Reports are coming in that the dams that collapsed because of the heavy rains were not maintained for quite some time. It is being said that the infrastructure woes in Libya's Derna is what led to this complete tragedy in the eastern Libya coastal town. Dams in the storm-hit Derna, eastern Libya, had not been maintained for more than 2 decades. That is, for 20 years, maintenance work had not been carried out on these dams. So it was a tragedy that was in fact waiting to happen. They said that the dams have not been maintained since 2002. This had resulted in the devastation that we see now. Now, it is being said that the first dam failed was only 70 meters, that is 230 feet tall. Once the water had rushed past it, it accumulated behind the second dam, eventually causing this kind of a burst that resulted in the river becoming a kind of a tsunami flow that we saw. So this is the aspect of the devastating aspect of the floods that we are seeing. Let us in fact take one more reactions coming in, especially on the Libyan front and the kind of tragedy that we have seen. Let's get one more reaction on this.
The situation in the city of Derna is very difficult. We have set up a field hospital at the Faculty of Law in the University of Derna. The hospital is currently operational and its staffs are coordinating with the specialized team in recovering bodies and providing first aid to the injured.
Also, reports coming in right now that there is a significant criticism with regards to both the governments in Libya. Now, both the governments have said there's a rival power groups that are vying for complete influence on it. One of the power groups is associated with a very powerful general. Now, it is being said that the Libyan authorities were also quite slow to responding to Storm Daniel, despite warnings being given from the international community as well. It is being said that because the two rival governments were in fact unable to coordinate with each other, it had complicated the execution of the required protocols on the ground when the storm hit the Libyan town. It is being said that the Tripoli-based public policy group has significantly gone ahead and criticized the lack of attention paid by the Libyan authorities when it came to coordinating with the local authorities to ensure that some kind of an evacuation also took place, despite the warnings coming in from several quarters on the intensity of this particular storm. We're also coming in that other than Turkey, Egypt and Qatar, France has also pledged aid to the flood victims in that area. France is about to send a field hospital to Libya right now, and they are in touch with the authorities there to set up this field hospital. And this field hospital will be looking into those who have been injured. Many of the health facilities in Libya have also taken a hit because of the rival groups trying to vie for influence in that area. You can see how difficult it has been, especially for people to get bodies out from the debris as well. There is a significant fear in most of these towns that this could in fact lead to some kind of a pandemic, as rotten bodies could become a problem. So all of them are in fact trying to ensure that they leave these cities that have been completely silted out. And right now, information also coming that from certain quarters, especially the Red Crescent and the Red Cross volunteers who have been the first responders in the area, that they are still getting bodies from the debris and the silt that has covered the urban centers in that region. So very significant when it comes to the issue in Egypt, and that is to say that it has become one of the biggest climatic disasters for that region. Hundreds of them in finding themselves in complete devastation. These are the visuals that show how the roads have been eroded in that region. You can see how the water that flew through the sides of the road have completely eroded it. This was the kind of flooding that is seen in that area. They are not used to this kind of flooding. Two dams not maintained for almost 20 years, and it collapsed one after the other because of the storm and the excess rain that it did see. So this is the tragedy that has unfolded in Darna, many of them burying their dead in mass graves. So it is a significant situation that is happening, especially that should take the attention of the international community. Well, it's not only when it comes to Darna. Darna is actually the epicenter of this disaster. What we have come to understand is that the cities of Sosa, Almaj and Misrata were also affected by the storm that hit Libya on a Sunday. It is an oil-rich nation, but right now, because of the political instability, coordination work has been also completely affected in that region. Also, it is being said that Benghazi, which is also along the coast, is also has suffered because of the storm, but not as much as Darna. But reports are coming in of certain damages in that area as well. The forces that are in fact loyal to powerful general and eastern officials are the ones who are looking after the significant trouble that has happened in this region. And as of now, it is also being said that the rivers are in spate because of it, though there has been reports coming in that in some areas it has come down, the water levels have come down, but not to the point where we can say it is actually safe. So rescue work still carried out by the Libyan National Army is also involved in the rescue works in these areas, but most of the journalists on the ground saying that there is a significant coordination issue that is happening. It's mostly the Red Crescent volunteers and the Red Cross volunteers who are on the ground, who are first responders to the tragedy that has happened. We did show you the significance about the satellite images as well. We can see how the satellite images show a before and after kind of a situation in Libya. We can see that the satellite images which showed a thriving town completely devastated by the flood, silt all across the place in Darna, and complete neighborhoods have been destroyed and has been covered in mud and rubble and has been littered with upturned vehicles is what we understand. So there's a lot of harrowing stories also coming in where people say that they had to just run away because they just saw the water coming in. Some of them left their belongings back, some even their family members back. So it was each one to themselves. A lot of people saying that they don't know what happened to their relatives, those who are being able to survive this. Tragic stories coming in from the area as such. So right now, a big question mark are raised on whether they would be able to have some kind of significant effort to help the people in Darna and in other cities in the coastal region that has been affected by the storm. Meanwhile, the United States, Germany, Iran, Italy, Qatar and Turkey are among the countries that have now sent in the reinforcement. France has also said that they are going to go ahead and give in a field hospital which would help in ensuring that some kind of medical assistance is also being given. The significant amount of food as well as medical supplies have been given. These are in fact the visuals of the river in spate in Darna, and you can see how it is washing through the city center. Some of the people in fact said it was like a tsunami. Witnesses say it was a huge tsunami that came in. Also, it was coupled by the fact that two public infrastructures such as two dams that was on the river collapsed, leading to the significant surge in the river, and this entire city and neighborhoods were washed away because of this factor. So you can see how this video in fact captures the tragedy that has happened in Libya, and it's very shocking to know that even now The volunteers are unable to give a proper figure, but they estimate around 10,000 people are missing. 2,300 people are confirmed to be dead. The number could go high, is what the Red Crescent volunteers are saying. These were in fact very prosperous neighborhoods once upon a time that have been completely destroyed with debris and the silt that has come in, and most of these vehicles have been upturned and littered. Let us in fact listen into one more reaction coming in to this particular aspect of the tragedy that is unfolding in Libya.
It was accompanied by strong winds, causing the death of thousands of citizens and wounding thousands. The search is still ongoing for the missing people that was swept away by strong floods, which caused the collapse of a number of dams and buildings and damaged private and public establishments. These are hard and painful times that the Libyan areas, towns and villages in Jabal or Akhdar are facing, which was hit by a huge quantity of rainfall that reached its maximum of 400 millimeter in some places. This number was never recorded in Libya's climate history. It was accompanied by strong winds, causing the death of thousands of citizens and wounding thousands. The search is still ongoing for the missing people that was swept away by strong floods, which caused the collapse of a number of dams and buildings and damaged private and public establishments. These are hard and painful times that the Libyan areas, towns and villages in Jabal or Akhdar are facing, which was hit by a huge quantity of rainfall that reached its maximum of 400 millimeter in some places. This number was never recorded in Libya's climate history.
Well, that was in fact another response coming in where they are talking about how climate change is also affecting Libya. In Libya's living memory, it is being said that they had never recorded the kind of rainfall that they have seen. This coming in from the authorities who control the Derna eastern region of Libya. This is a coastal town, very significant coastal town, and also there are other cities like Misrata that has also been completely affected because of these floods. Libya has never seen this kind of rains, and this was precipitated because of a storm Daniel in that region. Daniel, which happened in the Mediterranean Sea, is said to have affected countries like Bulgaria, Greece. Libya, of course, is the worst affected of the lot and had brought significant rain. Meanwhile, because of the political instability in Syria, there are two rival governments that are in fact trying to vie for power. A lot of the public infrastructure in Libya has not been maintained, and the tragedy in Derna is because two dams have not been maintained for the last 2 decades. This resulted in the dams completely collapsing and the river being in spate and washing away entire neighborhoods into the sea. Some of the volunteers and as well as eyewitnesses say that probably they'll have to recover the bodies from the sea because at least 25% of the coastal town has been washed away completely into the sea. It is also being said that many of the climate experts in the world say that this is also due to global warming that such a situation had unfolded. There you can see the river in spate. People are trying to come to terms with the kind of volume of flow that was there in this river, and as the volunteers in fact on the ground have been saying, it was very difficult for them to go ahead and carry with the rescue work because they had to go through the silt, the debris, and at the same time cut through some of the building concrete that had accumulated itself after the buildings have collapsed. Many of the buildings have collapsed as their foundations were completely eroded. These are visuals that in fact we have been showing you about how the tragedy has unfolded. This is one of the town centers that has been completely destroyed. The drain pipes, the water pipes, the entire infrastructure that keeps the city going has been destroyed, and the city has been littered with cars. And let's in fact see through the reactions in Libya. Let us in fact go ahead and once again see how the situation was unfolding in the region.
300 volunteers from various regions of Libya who are affiliated with the Ministry of Youth have arrived in the city of Benghazi. We have also received assistance from Tunisia, Algeria, Italy, France, UAE, Turkey and Qatar. Trained rescue teams have arrived from Turkey, while other teams continue to arrive from Egypt, Algeria, Italy and other friendly countries.
The situation in the city of Derna is very difficult. We have set up a field hospital at the Faculty of Law in the University of Derna. The hospital is currently operational and its staffs are coordinating with the specialized team in recovering bodies and providing first aid to the injured.
It was accompanied